guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Fayy Lenee back with another video, and for today's video I have got a makeup tutorial for you guys. So I realized that I haven't really filmed a ton of makeup tutorials lately, and I don't know about you guys, but I miss filming makeup tutorials. Hopefully you guys miss watching makeup tutorials. So for today's video, you're getting a makeup tutorial. And not only am I going to be showing you guys how to recreate this look, but for all my beauties on a budget, I did use all drugstore products for this makeup look. So girl, if anybody's been telling you that you can't get snatched on a budget, I'm about to show you exactly how to prove them wrong. So before we get started, if you are new to my channel, definitely make sure that you subscribe down below by clicking on the red button. You guys already know the drill. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are not new to my channel, then you already know what it is. So thank you so much as always for coming back. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. Alright guys, so for today's video, I'm going to be using the After Dark and After Glow eyeshadow palettes. These palettes are by Bad Habit Beauty. If you've never heard of this brand, I highly recommend them. They create a lot of dupes for high-end makeup for way cheaper, but the quality is still bomb. So first up, I'm going into the After Glow palette, and I'm picking up the shade Glint. This shade is a really nice, warm, matte brown shade, and as you can see, I'm just placing it in the outer V of my eye and buffing it back and forth into the crease as our transition shade. And then next up, sticking with the same palette, I'm going in with the shade Illuminate. This shade was much more pigmented than I expected it to be, but it kind of has a peachy orange tint to it, and I wanted to add a little bit more warmth into the crease. So I'm just applying that with the same brush, buffing it right on top of that shade that we applied earlier and blending it out. So next up, I'm taking a more tapered blending brush and I'm picking up the shade Beam. This is going to go a little bit more precisely in the crease area. So as you can see, I'm being a little bit more precise while I'm placing this shade into my crease, and then of course blending it out into the other shades that I've already applied. And then here I'm just going in with a clean blending brush and going over the edges just to make sure that everything is nice and smoothly blended. So next up, we're switching it up and moving over to the After Dark palette. I'm taking the shade Merlot. This is, I thought it was going to be a more chocolate brown shade, but it actually turned out being more of like a chocolatey, plummy purple shade. But I just applied that in the crease to start to cut the crease and define the crease area. And then here I'm actually going to cut the crease of my lid. So I just applied a little bit of concealer and then look up, and then it kind of creates a little bit of a guide for where I should go in and cut the crease of my eyelid. And I'm using a really small concealer brush to be really precise in cutting the crease and blending out that concealer. And I like to do this because it just makes everything a lot more neat and a lot more precise, and it gives me a guide of where exactly to put my lid shade. So still sticking in the After Dark palette, I'm going in with the shade Arousal. This is a dark brown chocolate shade, and I'm using a little small blending brush to pack this on my outer V. Now with this shade, I did notice that it was a little bit patchy. As you can see, it's like pretty much blending away, and it did not blend very well into the other shadows. So I'm going to go in with another eyeshadow palette to kind of get that dark brown that I wanted in my outer V. And I'm going to be using the Juvia's Place, the Nubian palette. If you have never tried Juvia's Place, this is another brand that I highly recommend. You can actually find them now at Ulta, but the price on these palettes and their products in general is bomb, and the quality of their products is also bomb. So as you saw, I just tried to salvage my outer V by applying that dark brown shade out there, and then I'm going to go in with the shade 24 Karat and apply this on my lid and blend it over into that brown shade. And then after that, I decided to go back over to the Afterglow palette and pick up the shade Luster. It's kind of like a peachy orange shade that kind of ties in the transition color, and I decided to apply that on the inner corner. It just gives a little extra something. It's not anything major, but just gives a little something extra on the inner corner. I also went ahead and applied my liner and lashes off camera, so I will have those products listed for you guys down below in the description. And now we can go ahead and move on to the face. I'm going to start off with the e.l.f. Mattifying Primer Mist, and then I'm going to go in with a smoothing and mattifying primer. So for today's video, I decided to use the CoverGirl Smoothing Primer and the NYX Angel Veil. Both of these are two of my absolute favorites from the drugstore. So I'm just going to apply those all over my face, the smoothing one first and then the mattifying one right behind it. And then after that, I'm going to go in with foundation. So today I'm using this one from Makeup Revolution. I've heard a lot of really good things about this foundation, and I also filmed a full review or first impression of this foundation on my channel. So I will link that for you guys if you're interested in it. But this foundation has become one of my absolute favorites from the drugstore. If you have oily skin, I highly recommend this foundation. And then after that, I'm going to go in with the Makeup Revolution concealers. Might as well since we use the foundation. So I'm just going to apply this underneath my under eyes, down the center of my face, on my chin, all the places that I normally highlight. And then here I just went in with a slightly lighter shade to really make the inner corners of my eye pop a little bit. And then of course, I'm going to blend it all out with a damp beauty blender. So once I have that blended out, I'm going to go in with this loose setting powder from Black Radiance. It's kind of like a banana shade, and honestly, you guys, this setting powder is really good. I kind of forgot about it. I purchased it a while back, and then I decided to pull it out and start using it a little bit more, and this is a really good one. If you're looking for a setting powder that isn't super expensive that you can find at your local drugstore, I highly recommend this one. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and fill in my brows off camera, and then I'm going in with this e.l.f. blush brush to wipe away all of the excess powder. And look at my skin, like snatched, okay? I'm telling y'all, that powder is everything. So next I'm going to go ahead and finish off the eyes. I'm using this black eyeliner from Pixi. This is another drugstore favorite. This eyeliner is super creamy. It doesn't tug on the eyes at all, and it just blends out so nicely. So I applied that on my lower lash line and then blended it down into my lashes. And then I'm going in with that dark brown shade and just using it to buff it out a little bit more, buff out the liner a little bit more. And then here I'm going back in with the shade Beam, which is what we used in the crease area. And I'm just going to be using that to just buff and blend it down even more. I want it to look really smoky down there. And then I'm going in with this mascara from Maybelline and using that to apply it to my lower lashes, of course. And then going back to the skin, I'm going to set all of the areas that I did not bake with this L'Oreal Infallible Matte Setting Powder. I think it's the Pro Matte Powder. And I'm just using this brush from Morphe to press it into the skin right on top of my foundation. And then after that, I'm going back into the shade Luster, which was the shade that we used on the inner portion of the lid, and I'm just applying that on the inner portion of my lower lash line just to mirror what we did on the lid. I'm also putting it a little bit on the inner corner, but you'll see me go in later with another shade just to make that pop a little bit more. To contour, I'm using this little palette from NYX. This was in my everyday makeup stash, and I've really been enjoying it. I'm using the contour shade, obviously, and this brush from the Jaclyn Hill collection that she did with Morphe. And I'm just applying that to the hollows of my cheeks, to my temples, my regular places where I contour and bronze. And then here I'm going in with one of the new e.l.f. blush and highlight palettes, and using one of the blushes out of that palette to apply to my cheeks. And then I'm using this highlighter from Pixi, and as you guys can see, like I mentioned, I went in and just applied that on the inner corner. I felt like it needed a little something extra, so I just used one of the shades out of there to make it pop a little bit more. And then I'm also going to use that to highlight my cheekbones and my nose and cupid's bow, all the regular places where you apply highlighter. And then finally for lips, I'm going to be doing a mauve nude. Go figure. So I'm going in first with BFF3 from ColourPop. I'm actually going to line my lips with this and fill them in completely. And then after that, I decided to use the Nitra B collaboration with IGXO Cosmetics. I actually have never heard of this brand until Nitra B did a collaboration with them, but I've really been loving this liquid lipstick. It is literally the perfect mauve nude shade for my complexion. It is bomb. So I just applied a little bit of that on my bottom lip and then pressed my lips together and blended it out with my finger. And then to finish off the look, I'm going to set everything in place with the CoverGirl Look Lock-Up Setting Spray, which has been another drugstore favorite of mine recently. So I'm pretty much just going to douse myself in that, apparently. And then this is the finished look. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed watching me create this fully drugstore makeup tutorial, drugstore slay for you guys. I intended to put it up a little bit sooner back in the fall time, but it just came out so good in my opinion. I could not let it go to waste. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed creating and filming it for you guys. If you have not already, be sure to subscribe before you leave and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.